Hey everyone, welcome back to another math video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the difference of squares. It's another special case that we get when we're multiplying two binomials. Sometimes we can result in what we call the difference of squares. And if we're able to spot what leads to the difference of squares, then we can actually take a few shortcuts when we're multiplying these types of binomials. So let's go ahead and let's get started. So in order to identify when am I allowed to use the difference of squares, you're looking for a problem that looks somewhat like this. When you have the same variables and you have the same numbers, but the only thing that's different here is that one of them is x minus 12 and the other one is x plus 12. So they're almost identical except one of them is subtracting and the other one is adding. When this happens, you're going to see that something special happens after we multiply. You can multiply these using any method that you want for right now. We're just going to show you how to multiply any binomial times another binomial. There's three methods you could choose. So there's the three main ones at least. There's the distributive property, there is the box method, which I'm going to do for this one, and then there's FOIL, which some people use. But let's go ahead and let's do the box method. So here I'm going to put x minus 12, so that's this first binomial, and up here I'll put x plus 12. That's this binomial. Okay, and then remember we just multiply in each of these boxes. It's kind of like a multiplication chart. So in this box right here I do x times x, that is x squared. In this top right box, 12 times x would give me a 12x. Lower left box, negative 12 times x, I'm going to go ahead and get negative 12x. And then in the last box is 12 times negative 12, so I'm going to get negative 144. And then we just write these out all next to each other. X squared plus 12x minus 12x minus 144. Now, we recently covered the sum of squares, and what happened in the sum of squares, that was a different special case where these two terms in the middle were exactly the same. For the difference of squares, you're going to notice that these two terms actually cancel each other out. I have a positive 12x and a negative 12x. If you combine those, they're going to erase each other. So really, they cancel each other out. It's like they didn't exist. And I'm left with x squared minus 144. And some guy a long time ago realized that, hey, this is going to happen every single time I'm faced with this scenario where I have two binomials that are almost identical, but they have different signs. So these different signs resulted in these two middle terms canceling each other out. So if I'm going back and thinking about my method that I used, it's almost as if these two diagonal terms here do not matter. The only two terms that I really need to multiply are these two and these two. What matters is how I got the x squared and how I got the negative 144. So the shortcut that we do for this one, okay, instead of having to multiply all this out by using the box method, FOIL, if I can spot and notice that, hey, these two are very similar, the only thing that they have different is the signs. The shortcut for the difference of squares is that instead of multiplying everything out, we just do x times x. So the first term multiplied by the first term. So x times x is x squared. And then the second term, or the last term, multiplied by the other last term. So negative 12 times positive 12, negative 144. And that is much faster than having to do the box method, having to do distributive property, and having to do FOIL. If you're doing FOIL, it's like we just did the first and the last terms. Okay. And this is what's convenient about being able to spot. Look at the amount of work that was done for this problem. Hardly anything. But the key is having the ability to remember that whenever I see this scenario where they're almost identical, but they have missing signs, I can take this sort of shortcut. So hopefully now you feel comfortable with what the difference of squares is, and hopefully soon you'll be able to spot it out and use these shortcuts. They are advantageous when we move on to the next part, that is factoring, okay? Because sometimes we have to remember what the difference of squares is in order to go backwards. they'll give us the x squared minus 144, and they want us to help realize that, hey, that's the same thing as x plus 12 and x minus 12. Okay, but hopefully you'll get there. As always, I just want to thank you for watching, and I hope you continue to learn some math.